She said, well, I'm gonna get the one you want. I said, babe, but you like the other one better. She said, we're gonna get the house you want. And she did it.
Picture this: a $15 million mansion hidden in the green heart of Atlanta. Marble floors, golden chandeliers, and a private lake that mirrors the morning sun. And the man who owns it? A once homeless comedian who turned his pain into punchlines and built a media empire from the ground up. But behind the laughter and luxury lies a story of redemption, faith, and an unshakable belief that his best days were still ahead. Would you ever imagine that the man who once slept in his car for 3 years would one day own one of Atlanta's grandest homes? Before the fame, before the suits, before the cameras, there was Broderick Stephen Harvey, born in Welch, West Virginia, and raised on the east side of Cleveland, Ohio. The son of a coal miner and a Sunday school teacher, Steve's story began in a house filled with love and lessons learned the hard way. Money was tight, but faith was strong. His mother's Bible stayed open on the kitchen table, and her words became his compass. If you trust God, He'll take you places your feet can't. Those words would one day carry him through some of his darkest nights. Steve struggled with a severe stutter. Every word was a battle, every sentence a mountain. Classmates laughed, teachers lost patience, but his mother kept reminding him, "You may not talk like everyone else, but you've got something to say." He tried everything to make a living mailman, carpet cleaner, even a boxer for a while, but nothing filled that empty space inside. Every night, he'd pray for a sign, something that told him he was meant for more. That sign came when he was 27. A friend dared him to perform at a local comedy club. Nervous and broke, Steve grabbed the mic, and for the first time, the laughter wasn't at him. But finding his gift was just the beginning. The road ahead would test every ounce of faith he had, from sleeping in his car to losing everything he worked for. Yet through it all, one truth remained. Steve Harvey was born to make people laugh and destined to rise. Every legend starts small. For Steve Harvey, it started with a stutter, a prayer, and a joke that changed his life. The road to success isn't always paved sometimes. It's parked. For 3 long years, Steve Harvey lived inside that car. Gas stations became his bathrooms. Fast food lots were his rest stops. He'd wake up stiff, broke, and hungry, but never hopeless. Night after night, he hit the stage with small clubs, unpaid gigs, endless drives. The laughter of strangers was his fuel, and each standing ovation felt like one step closer to the dream. He wasn't chasing fame. He was chasing freedom, the kind that only comes when you're living in your purpose. Then, in 1993, the breakthrough came. Hosting its Showtime at the Apollo didn't just make him a familiar face. It made him the face of urban comedy. His timing, his honesty, his Southern charm all connected. America wasn't just laughing anymore. They were listening. From that stage, doors began to open. In 1996, The Steve Harvey Show premiered on the WB. For 6 seasons, it became one of television's most beloved sitcoms, a mix of humor, heart, and real-life lessons that mirrored Steve's own journey. By the early 2000s, he wasn't just telling jokes, he was shaping culture. Then came the Kings of Comedy. Alongside legends like Bernie Mac, Cedric the Entertainer, and D.L. Hewley, Steve took comedy to new heights, selling out stadiums and breaking records worldwide. But even then, he knew the stage wasn't his final stop. In 2000, Steve reinvented himself again, this time as the voice that woke up millions across America. The Steve Harvey Morning Show became a daily dose of humor, inspiration, and raw truth. His authenticity turned a radio show into a movement. But Steve wasn't done yet. Television came calling again, and this time it was game time. When he took over Family Feud, ratings soared. His quick wit and relatable humor turned the show into a cultural phenomenon. Viral moments, memes, and laughter that crossed generations. The man who once couldn't afford a hotel room was now in every living room in America. But comedy was just his foundation. Behind the mic, Harvey was already plotting his empire. In 2009, his book, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man, took the world by storm, debuting as a #1 bestseller, and later adapted into a Hollywood blockbuster. It wasn't just advice. It was insight, the kind only a man who had lived, failed, and learned could give. With every chapter, every stage, and every screen, Steve was building something bigger, a legacy rooted in faith, family, and financial freedom. From the spotlight to the boardroom, Steve Harvey turned laughter into leadership. Every joke, every sleepless night, every closed door, it all led here. Proof that purpose and persistence can turn pain into power. And yet, even at the peak of fame, Steve Harvey never forgot who brought him this far. Because for him, the real success wasn't fame. It was faith, family, and freedom. But success has a way of testing even the most faithful. Before Harvey could finally rest in the comfort he'd earned, IRS pressure, legal fees, and public scrutiny. One misstep almost cost him everything. Financial battles, public pressure, and sleepless nights forced him to redefine what success really meant. Yet, instead of breaking him, it built the man we see today. And that rebirth began inside the walls of a mansion that would become both his refuge and his reward. In the heart of Atlanta sits a home that feels more like a European palace than a southern residence. But for Steve Harvey, this isn't just a mansion. It's a monument to resilience, a physical reminder of how far faith and hard work can carry a dreamer who once had nothing. This 35,000 square foot French provincial estate was once owned by Tyler Perry, another mogul who turned pain into power. In 2020, Harvey purchased it for around $15 million. It sits on 17 acres with a 70,000-gallon infinity pool that mirrors the skyline, a gym, private lake, and a movie room built for comfort and creativity. Its centerpiece, a double staircase inspired by Gone with the Wind, curves like a symbol of his journey upward. Elegant, unstoppable. From the car seats where he once slept to the castle halls, he now walks with gratitude. For Steve, home isn't about walls and luxury. It's about creating a legacy of love and peace. Every corner of that mansion tells a story of divine turnaround. Outside, his garage could easily pass for a luxury showroom. His prized Rolls-Royce Phantom drophead coupe exudes grace and authority, much like the man himself. Then, there's the Bentley Mulsanne, timeless, understated elegance, and the Ferrari 458, raw power and precision. For daily comfort, a custom Cadillac Escalade, built to fit his larger-than-life persona. Each vehicle isn't just a luxury, it's a milestone, a celebration of every struggle, every sleepless night, and every leap of faith that took him from sleeping behind the wheel to owning the road. Would you take the Ferrari's roar or the Rolls-Royce's silence? And when it comes to personal style, Steve Harvey is in a league of his own. His signature look of perfectly tailored suits, bold colors, and sharp lines isn't just fashion, it's confidence stitched in fabric. Steve once said, "A man should dress for the position he wants, not the one he has." And he meant it. From his early days hosting Apollo in off-the-rack suits to now collaborating with global designers, his wardrobe mirrors his evolution from hustler to household name. Tom Ford, Dolce & Gabbana, Brioni, each suit worth thousands, tailored not just to his frame, but to his spirit. His look became a brand, commanding presence, effortless authority, timeless charm. Even surrounded by marble, leather, and gold, one thing about Steve Harvey never changed: his gratitude. Beneath the luxury lies humility. Beneath the fame, a deep faith that grounds him. Because for Steve, the mansion isn't about showing off, it's about showing what's possible. Proof that your past doesn't define you. Your persistence does. If you could live in any celebrity mansion, would you pick Steve Harvey's Atlanta estate or Tyler Perry's $100 million mega mansion? For Steve Harvey, success isn't about luxury, it's about legacy. And his Atlanta estate? That's not just where he lives. That's where his story continues to inspire. Behind the marble walls and luxury cars lies the part of Steve Harvey's empire that doesn't make the headlines in his heart. After all the stages, lights, and standing ovations, home is where Steve Harvey becomes simply Steve. Life wasn't always this picture perfect. Steve has been married 3 times, each chapter leaving its lessons, heartbreaks, and wisdom. But his story with Marjorie Harvey, that's his ultimate comeback. When Steve met Marjorie, he was rebuilding his life and career. She didn't just become his partner, she became his peace, his confidant, his muse, and the quiet power behind his reinvention. Together, they've built more than a marriage. They've built a brand. Marjorie isn't just the woman beside Steve. She's his mirror, his creative influence, his reminder that class and kindness can coexist. Between them, they've raised a blended family of 7 children, proof that love can be rebuilt stronger the second time around. Their lavish vacations, yachts cruising through Monaco, private jets touching down in Paris, safaris in South Africa reflect more than success. They reflect unity, a family that prays together, travels together, and laughs together. For Steve, family isn't a photo op. It's his legacy in motion. Every child, every grandchild, is a chapter in the story of redemption that began in the backseat of a car where he once slept. Faith runs deep through the Harvey household. Every success, every blessing, every luxury is anchored in gratitude. As Steve often says, God's grace took me where the grind alone couldn't. It's not just a quote, it's a creed, a family motto written into the walls of their home. Behind the glamour, they keep a rhythm of humility, morning prayers, family check-ins, and laughter that money can't buy. Marjorie's elegance balances Steve's energy. Together, they've turned love into legacy. Yet, even with millions watching, for Steve Harvey, life's greatest luxury isn't the Rolls-Royce, the suits, or even the mansion. It's love, it's peaceful, and it's the grace that made it all possible. Steve keeps his most valuable asset hidden, that rare, quiet kind of peace that doesn't need validation, applause, or trending headlines. Because at the end of every success story, there's a sanctuary, a place where the empire becomes human again. And for Steve Harvey, that sanctuary is family. When the laughter fades and the applause quiets, what remains is the purpose behind the man. For Steve Harvey, success has never been about fame or fortune. It's about the lives he can touch long after the cameras stop rolling. Through the Steve and Marjorie Harvey Foundation, he's turned his own story of struggle and faith into a platform for hope. The foundation's mission is simple but profound: to mentor, guide, and uplift the next generation. Each year, his mentoring camp for young men gathers hundreds of teenage boys from across America, many growing up without fathers, searching for purpose and direction. For Steve, it's never been just a camp. It's a compass that points these young men toward manhood, responsibility, and faith. He teaches them that greatness doesn't come from where you start, but from the choices you make and the God you trust. Beside him stands Marjorie, his wife, muse, and partner in purpose. Together, they've expanded their mission beyond American borders, creating educational programs and scholarships that give hope to students across Africa. In Ghana and South Africa, the Harveys have funded schools, provided housing aid, and opened doors to opportunity for children who once had none. Because for the Harveys, true wealth isn't measured in gold or marble, it's measured in the lives they touch. Beyond charity, Steve's message has evolved into something timeless, a global anthem of faith, perseverance, and gratitude. His powerful words have reached millions, inspiring people to believe that no obstacle is permanent when faith is the foundation. You can't outfaith a man who's seen God make a way, Steve often says. And those words aren't just a quote, they're a creed, a reminder of every night he spent praying in that car, and every door that opened when he refused to give up. Comedy built his fame. Faith built his empire. But legacy, that's what defines his eternity. When the lights fade and the cameras turn off, what remains isn't the fame or the fortune. It's the people he's lifted and the hope he's passed forward. What do you think defines true legacy wealth, fame, or the lives you touch along the way? For Steve Harvey, legacy isn't what he leaves behind. It's who he lifts up. From sleeping in his car to owning one of Atlanta's most magnificent estates, Steve Harvey's journey is a masterclass in faith, resilience, and divine timing. Every brick of that mansion tells a story, not of luxury, but of lessons learned through loss, laughter, and unwavering belief. He's more than a comedian or TV mogul. He's a man who turned struggle into strength and purpose into prosperity. His story reminds us that success isn't just about the spotlight. It's about standing firm in faith when no one's watching. Because true wealth doesn't live in mansions or cars. It lives in gratitude, grace, and growth. From sleeping in a car to owning an empire, this is Steve Harvey's testimony in Marble and Gold. Do you think Steve Harvey's success story is more about comedy or about faith? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories of Black excellence and luxury lifestyle.